For over 150 years, 5 generations of the Woodruff family have serviced the South Jersey community's fuel energy needs. In this 3-part series, Bob Woodruff Sr. shares with Meg the history of the Woodruff family and the Woodruff Energy Company. Meg and Bob also touch on the long-standing tradition in the Woodruff family of service to the community and his love and support for the arts. Enjoy this episode of the Bridgeton Beacon.
And it sounds like you're passing it along down the generations too, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So all the while you're doing all of this, you also have a great interest and enthusiasm for the arts. I happen to know that you were instrumental and involved in the what was once the Bridgeton Symphony and is now the Bay Atlantic Symphony. So I was hoping first to ask you how that came about and why the arts were and are so important to you.
Well, my family was always very much involved with music. My dad was an active guy like you wouldn't just believe. He was into everything. He was a very fine musician. He was the church organist at Woodruff Church for many years, and he was a wonderful singer. He had formed a local choir. He directed the church choir, but he also had a regional choir that he directed, and always was very much interested in music, which got us involved as well. My wife was really, and your father, Bob McCormick, was one of the original founders of the Bridgeton Symphony. Isabel Moore, who was the wife of Dr. Johnny Moore, was another one of the founding family. But it was a group that just felt that this area needed a symphony orchestra, and it was started first of all as a semi-professional group. My wife was a very good violinist, and she was part of the first group. One of my daughters was also a good cellist, and for a year or two she played with it. But as it grew, it became a fully professional orchestra, and it performed at a few locations first, and then at the Bridgeton, what's now the middle school auditorium, was where they performed for a number of years, and eventually expanded to perform down at the shore at Stockton University's auditorium down there, and then eventually moved our performance over to the Cumberland County College, which is now, of course, Rowan College of Cumberland County.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my wife was one of the original founders of it, and so I naturally got involved on the sort of on the side.
Mm-hmm. And was that, correct me if I'm wrong, that was what, the early 80s?
It's about 30 years ago. Okay. So let's see. No, it's more than that.
Yeah.
It was in 1987. So whatever that comes, 35 years or so. Yeah. And it's been a very successful organization. They perform concerts in Vineland and at Stockton University, as well as some summer programs in Avalon and Cape May. And it's a very fine professional organization. The family has been very much involved with it. I served as its president for 4 years and had been on the board for a number of years. And it's just it's a marvelous local orchestra, but we hire, everyone is a professional player, and we hire them from South Jersey, Philadelphia, Wilmington area. And if anybody sees that, I'm going to give a plug for it. You see when the concert's coming up, it's very, very, they're very inexpensive, and the quality is extremely good. You would enjoy any concert that you went to.
I was just, as I'm talking to you, I'm looking at the website, bayatlanticsymphony.org. And so that you're right. They have a bunch of upcoming events, and it's a great thing to support for sure.
Yes.
And you also, in addition to that, and this is just touching upon something that you said at the Rotary meeting, you and your wife were also very involved in hosting exchange students over the years and developing relationships. And, did that from, just how did that transpire? Did that happen because of Rotary, or did that happen just because of your affiliation with the State Board of Ed? Or how did that come about?
That was a Rotary.
Yeah.
That was a Rotary project. The Rotary International, which is the home organization for Rotary all over the world, sponsors. They're called group study exchange programs, and they would get two districts together. For instance, our Bridgeton belonged to a district of South Jersey Rotary clubs, and we were paired off each year for a number of years with different Rotary clubs from South Africa, from Australia, New Zealand, India, Ireland, where they would send over 6 young people, but they were people who were actually over 21, but it was a way to get different views for both them and for us. And they would send people over, and we would send people back for about 6 weeks. And then host families would have these people for anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 days. And Mary and I were always ones that found it was most enjoyable to be a host to these young people that came over. And just we made lifelong friends. And I mentioned when I was speaking to the Rotary Club, we also had an interesting experience, and I don't want to take too much of the time.
I want to share that. That was really neat. Share that with us.
Well, that was an interesting experience because we had hosted a number of different ones, 5 or 6. When I was sitting in my office one day, and I got a phone call came in, and one of my secretaries said to me, "You have a phone call coming in from South Africa." I said, "Oh, okay, I'll take it." Well, it happened to be Claire Miller, who a lot of people know Claire. He was a professor over at the Cumberland College, and he was also, I think, active on the county board of what was then freeholders and things like that. Claire had been one of the younger guys that was visiting for the 5 or 6 week period in South Africa, and he said he was staying with this very nice family in near Johannesburg, and they wanted to come to this country. This would have been back in the 1970s, probably early 1970s. He was a doctor, and he had money to travel over here and bring his 3 children, who happened to be about the same age as my 4 children. But because of different restrictions, they were not allowed to bring out much money, very little money at all. So they had to try to find places where they could stay with people, and primarily Rotarians. So he called me and he said, "Would you be willing to host for a week this family?" There's the husband, wife, and 3 children. And we said, of course, absolutely. So they came over, and we had a wonderful, wonderful week. And then many, many years later, probably 30 years later, we had the opportunity to travel in South Africa. So we got a hold of them, as well as another member who had been traveling as part of this program. And they were the most wonderful hosts. We spent 3 days with each family, and they just showed us all around the whole southern part of South Africa. And just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And we kept track of them until in each family, one of the members passed away. Excuse me. So we keep in touch with the remaining surviving spouse. But it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for us. Gave us a chance to really get the inside look at South Africa.
That's absolutely fantastic. I'm sitting here thinking, how were you able all these years to run Woodruff Energy, and yet you still made time for the arts, for these global, not just Bridgeton area connections, but global connections. It is a testament to you as not just a businessman, but just as a wonderful, wonderful person that has given back so much. And I just, on behalf of all the people that you've contacted and communicated and stayed in touch with, thank you so much for what you've done. And on top of it all, I understand you are an avid tennis player. We had to schedule this interview around your tennis game. So I want to hear about that. I used to play tennis. I haven't played in a long time.
When I was in high school, I was a baseball player, but and I won't get into why I got into tennis, but I did get into tennis, played in high school. Then I went to the University of Delaware, and I was becoming a half-decent player at the time. And so I played all 4 years at the University of Delaware and became captain of the team my senior year. And I have played ever since then. First of all, I played with a team from Cohansey Country Club in the South Jersey Tennis League, played there for many, many years. And I've just never stopped playing to the point now where, I can still play a half-decent game, even though I'm 85. And so I play 2 nights a week now.
Where do you play?
In the wintertime, I play up at Riverwinds Complex up in West Deptford, an indoor facility. And in the summer, we have there's still a group around Bridgeton that plays most of the time down at Dr. Peter Jesperson's house down in Ferreton.
I've played on those courts. It's been a while.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I have.
Yep. Well, Peter, Dr. Jesperson was always a very fine player and still is. He's still playing wonderful tennis at age 88. And
I love Dr. Pete. Tell him I said hello when you see him.
I know. He's great, and he was one of the very fine players in all of South Jersey. Still plays a very nice game. So there's a group of us that meet twice a week down there in the summertime too. So we keep our hand in, and fortunately I've enjoyed good health, and I'm still able to go out and play. So
wonderful. Do you attribute your happiness in life to not just being solely focused on one thing, but being able to enjoy things like tennis, like the arts, like the symphony, Rotary, all of that? What do you think about that?
I think that living a wide variety of interests is really the way to do it. You can be a specialist and be super good at it, and I just have enjoyed doing many, many different things, whether it's in sports or music or the arts, or I have a wonderful family too. I have 4 children and 10 grandchildren, and we have a lot of family get-togethers as well. So it's just I think living a broad life, and I've always been active in one of the churches, mostly with the First Presbyterian Church in Bridgeton, but singing the choir there, and I've been involved with the operation of the church there, and it's just, it broadens life. And I will have to say, I was able to do a lot of this for 2 reasons. First of all, my brother and I shared responsibilities. And he was also extremely active in the community too. So we sort of covered for each other when the other was not there. But we also give a plug for our people at Woodruff Energy. We've had over the years really fine people both in management and working for us, which has made our job our job a lot easier.
Yeah. So, well, I was talking to Paul Ritter last summer, and about not just PJ Ritter Company, but also Cumberland Mutual, and the topic of good employees and treating employees to the extent that you can, almost like family, is so important. And it's evident that Woodruff Energy, like PJ Ritter Company, has been just a successful, thriving business for, going on 2 centuries. So you must be doing something right.
Well, and I always have to give a thanks to the people that work for us. Yeah, we've had a wonderful group of people. So
excellent.
That's part of it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, maybe one of these days I'll dust off my tennis racket, see if I still have it.
Okay, we'll go out and hit some.
I'd love that. I would love that. Yep. For sure. Well, yep. Bob, thank you so much for sharing, just so much about the history of your family, the history of Woodruff Energy, your experiences in the community with Rotary and, exchange students and the Symphony. It's so nice to talk to you, and I feel like we only met a month or so ago, and you're the kind of guy that I feel like I have known my whole life, and I know that I obviously know that you've been friends with my parents and my grandparents for a long time, but it's been a real pleasure to have had the opportunity to meet you, and I love sitting with you at Rotary at lunch, and I hope Mary can join us again at Rotary as your guest, because I had a great time speaking with her too.
Yeah. Well, we're so happy that you've come back to Bridgeton too.
I am too.
It's nice to have young people back in town, and I know you've been working hard on the location there, and you have your law business here now, and I think that's wonderful. We're so happy that you came back to Bridgeton.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I had said that one of the reasons that I wanted to start this podcast, Bridgeton Beacon, was to be able to talk to people just like yourself that are really truly beacons of the community, and really serve as an example for someone like me that wants to kind of follow in your footsteps in terms of being able to do all the right things to give back to the community. And there are so many people in town that are new, that are young, a lot of new businesses downtown, and I had the opportunity to check out a new brochure that the Bridgeton Main Street Association has put out, and it's really neat to to talk about the history of the town, but also talk about the future of the town. And I'm just so happy that you were able to speak with me today about your experiences and all the things that you're doing today, and it's just wonderful. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome, man. Thank you for doing this. It's a real service, I think, to the community to hear from some of us old timers here.
Well, I think you got a lot of years of experience, and we'll have to continue to stay in touch. And I'd love to do this again. I'm actually going to be starting a series on farming.
Thanks again for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen.